Well, I'm seeing an unprecedented event, an entire community come together to ask themselves, how can we use time banking to create the kind of world we all have to live in together? I've seen energy, I've seen a desire of people to connect, a real hunger to contribute and to shape new ideas, some questioning about how this currency can be used, some concern about whether this is an attempt to replace government services or whether it's something different from that. I think some increased reassurance that this is really about rebuilding home, family, neighborhood, community, that's not about what government does or doesn't do. It's really about, I would say, how do we begin to rebuild what we've given up. I sometimes think that we have outsourced being a human being to the human service professionals and to the government and to helping agencies. I still think it's our job to be citizens, to raise our children, to take care of the elderly, to make democracy work, to fight for social justice and to keep the planet sustainable. And that's really the work that time banking is about, and it honors and rewards. In most cases, time banking comes into being by virtue of the effort of either one agency, one small group of people, one change agent within an agency who's heard of it. And so it begins as a single project. What I'm seeing today is an attempt on the part of an entire community, and the breadth of ages and so forth is across this entire community. People are asking, what can time banking do to create almost a new civic GDP for Liverpool? And that's an extraordinary vision. I began thinking about time banking, or imagining what it could be, lying in the coronary care unit of a hospital in 1980, and they told me that my heart 60% of my heart had been destroyed according to the enzyme tests. And I was receiving very fine care, but I didn't like feeling useless. And I thought, even if I only have 2 hours a day to be useful, for me, being alive meant making a difference in the lives of others. And that was 1980. We had a recession going, so we had lots of other people being declared useless. And I thought to myself, well, I'll bet they don't like it any more than I do. So I thought, well, how do we put useless people together with social problems and social needs? And I thought, well, in olden days, we used to actually use money. And if we're not going to have any more of that, why can't we create a new kind of money? I think at that point, some friends thought that heart attack had gotten to another organ, but they let me wander the streets asking that question, and I actually came to the London School of Economics to ask, why can't we create a new kind of money? Their biggest problem was that I was trying to create a kind of money that rejected market price, where all hours were equal. And they said, well, do you want a sort of Soviet-type price-setting control system? And I said, well, around the dinner table, I don't give you the drumstick because you put out the garbage, but you only rake the leaves, so you only get the mashed potatoes. I said, there are other distributive systems other than price that have to do with contribution and worth and need. And I think that we need to find a way that we can honor the work and contribution of everybody. And what I realized at the London School of Economics was that price defines value by supply and demand. So if it's scarce, it's valuable. If it's more abundant, it's cheaper. If it's really abundant, it's worthless. And I thought that means that every capacity that defines you and me as a human being is worthless. Being a human being, all of the capacities that enabled our species to survive and evolve, we have devalued. So it's no wonder we're in a bit of trouble. And I thought, maybe we ought to start rewarding people for being human beings. And I've stuck with that. Well, I remember a priest in South Korea saying, how could my time be worth no more than the time of that woman sweeping the floor? And I replied, well, I didn't think my prayer was worth more than her prayer because I was a lawyer. I've seen a paraplegic playing 7 chessboards simultaneously and turning teenagers into a prize-winning chess team, teenagers who otherwise were viewed as troublemakers. I've seen a woman in a wheelchair on oxygen helping a returning veteran from Iraq train seeing eye dogs who have to learn to be around people in wheelchairs. I've seen teenagers on a youth court sitting in judgment of peers and telling them that's not the way to go, and reducing recidivism, repeat crime, rearrest in Washington, D.C. by well over 50%. I've seen people who have returned from prison create a homecomers academy because they did not want to be called ex-cons. They wanted to be called homecomers, and they wanted to be viewed as students by the community. And I've seen them get up every morning at 6:30, earning time credits to provide safe passage to children across gang territory who otherwise might be afraid to. So I guess I've seen a lot of wonderful things that at least inspire me.